Welcome to the Camp Conroy Build the Book Summer Camp, June 2020. The first year, we built the book of poems, stories, and arts created from the point of view of other creatures. The second year, the theme was garbage. The book Reworld was highly environmentally minded, and at the same time, many pieces were intimately personal. The third year, this year, the theme is the trees. Since this is a literary camp, I like to talk about the trees through books. In these books, the trees are the main characters. You learn about the biology, all the cultural history of the trees. One day, I was reading a nonfiction book about astronomers, writers, and philosophers. The book was not about trees, and it didn't talk about trees. Trees were backdrops of minor details, but they were still there. Their furniture was wood, a car crashed into a pine tree. A question popped up in my head. Does a book without a tree word exist? By tree word, I mean tree, wood, timber, lumber, woods, forest, and tree names like elm, maple, or spruce. Paper is made of trees, but also of other plants, so it is not included. Crate may be made of woods, but it can be made from other materials. Trees have roots, and so do other plants. Therefore, they are not tree words in our definition. The reason why trees are everywhere is this. From the beginning, trees were always with us, dwelling, clothing, weapons, and paper. Our civilization grew with the use of wood. Trees were here when human beings finally appeared on Earth. I read about 30 books trying to find a book without a tree word. Telling you up front, I did find one. Well, almost. I will share my story with a few books selected from my journey. Her writing is tight. There's no fluffy expression or unnecessary word. The story flew at a good pace, then I came to this part. Calmly, Bill picked up the money and wrung it into the till. So this is at the bar. A girl walked in earlier and bought cigarettes. I'm not sure if they were for her or for someone else. She turned her eyes to the middle of the room. The mute, the story has been about him up to this point, sat silently over his glass of beer, idly drawing on the table with the end of a burnt matchstick. Would you have thought of searching a word like matchstick in your ebook? It is an excellent tree word, but I wouldn't have thought of it. The search function won't tell you that the book is without a tree word in it. You must read it. One day, I decided to pick books set in unlikely environments to find a tree word. Those places are middle of the ocean, way up north, desert, and Mars. Book 1. It is a true story of a commercial fishing boat headed toward the once-in-a-century tempest, the perfect storm. There's no tree in the ocean, right? Page 3. A soft fall rain slips down through the trees, and the smell of the ocean is so strong. It was such a disappointment to me. Why? Because it's such a generic use of tree, and it didn't have to be the trees that rain slips down. Book 2. This is a collection of nature essays. The first chapter is Aurora, and the author is in a world with ice, at the shore of ice and bones. Yet she finds them. She writes beautifully, and I By paying attention to tree words, become more curious about what they are. I've long loved the word tundra with its suggestion of far-off northern emptiness. They spell between rocks, dwarf willow, dwarf birch, and maybe bearberry. 3 words. Book 3. This is the record of archaeological excavation in the middle of a desert. The author explains how ancient Egyptians cut a big piece of rock from a stone cliff without explosives. This is the basic idea how they did it. Imagine that log in the picture is a big stone cliff. You want to cut off a piece of rock. They often use the metal wedge for the job. However, another way they did it was to pack the slot, the space, with wooden wedges, which were soaked in water. The wood then expand and split the rock. Ingenious. Book 4. There are no trees on Mars. The protagonist who is left behind on Mars is a botanist engineer. The crew left without him because they believed he was dead. He brought some seeds and potatoes for scientific experiments, but not trees. NASA is very cautious with any flammable items. I didn't think I would find a tree word, except perhaps as a metaphor. But no, a tree word with a tree object made an appearance, to the surprise of the protagonist, too. The protagonist is trying to make water here. The book is a series of chemistry experiments for survival without any ready equipment. He needed to invent fire at this juncture. NASA puts a lot of effort into making sure nothing here can burn. I needed something that could hold a flame, some kind of pilot light. After a search of everyone's personal items, I found an answer. Martinez is a devout Catholic. I knew that. What I didn't know was he brought along a small wooden cross. Trees are also our symbols. Can you think of other wooden symbols? So by this time, I knew my best bet was in philosophy books. I don't have many, but this I have, and this does not have a tree word in it. Wittgenstein. So no chapter title, just the numbering. This is the beginning of this book. Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus. The world is the totality of facts, not of things. There are no things in this book. I looked up what tractatus meant. It's a Latin for treatise. Treatise is something written formally and systematically. I typed tractatus, tree in a search engine just to make sure I am not missing anything. And this is what came up. So many people had the same idea that this book was a tree. It is said the book is better understood if a reader had a tree form in their minds. Camp Conroy 2020 is all about this. Trees are everywhere. They may not be in the forms you'd expect. Imagine, create, or find your own trees and add them to the world.